We're live on air and always streaming on CBS News Miami with the CBS News app. Good evening. I'm Lauren Pastrana.
And I'm Carly Barnett in for Elliot Rodriguez. CBS 4 News at 5 starts right now.
This is CBS 4 News at 5.
It was incredibly reckless and dangerous.
Now at 5, Russian forces target Europe's largest nuclear power plant, leading to an emergency UN security meeting. Tonight, world leaders consider their next steps as Russia invades Ukraine. We want to get to the latest developments from the invasion.
The United Nations released its latest count of deaths since the invasion began last week. The UN says it confirmed 331 people have been killed and 675 others hurt. The UN also says 1.2 million people have left Ukraine since fighting began. Today, the United States announced more sanctions against Russia's oil refining sector. The U.S. has set up a deconfliction line of communication directly with Russia to avoid any misunderstandings as the country's war in Ukraine rages on.
The Pentagon says the Russians have fired more than 500 missiles in the week since they invaded Ukraine, and the head of NATO warns the worst is yet to come. CBS 4's Natalie Brand reports from the White House tonight, where President Biden also continues to coordinate the U.S. response with European allies. Natalie?
So let's check in with CBS 4 meteorologist Dave Warren for what we can expect as we wrap up the week. Dave?
Yeah, gusty breeze. Actually, the wind will really start to increase.
After 50 years, killer whale Lolita will no longer be on display at the Miami Seaquarium. This comes after concerns over the whale's health. CBS 4's Jacqueline Quinn joins us with what comes next for Lolita. Jacqueline. Alarming allegations against a South Florida mother. 31-year-old Veronica Sanchez was arrested yesterday after police say she abused her 3-year-old daughter. According to the arrest report, Sanchez took her daughter to the hospital for a head injury. But when doctors examined her, they determined she had 15 fractures and several bruises on her body. When Sanchez was interviewed by investigators, she told them her daughter harmed herself. Sanchez is facing several charges, including aggravated child abuse. Miami Beach police say a homeless man was stabbed this morning. Chopper 4 over that scene along the 1900 block of West Avenue. The man was taken to the hospital in critical condition. It's unclear what led to the stabbing. At this point, no one has been arrested. Still ahead on CBS 4 News at 5, we saw the jaw-dropping video after it played out on Miami Beach. A helicopter crashing into the surf just feet away from swimmers. What the NTSB is now saying about this near tragedy. Well, spring break season is starting and law enforcement is anticipating bigger crowds than we saw over the last 2 years. We learned what new rules and guidelines they'll have in place.
This weekend begins the surge of spring breakers here in South Florida.
Absolutely expect at least double, if not triple, what we saw last year.
Major Bill Schultz with Fort Lauderdale Police says there will be tens of thousands of people in their city over the next 4 weeks. Chopper 4 already showing the crowds starting on the beach.
They're checking into a hotel. They're going to be issued a letter which has been authored by the Fort Lauderdale Police Department and the city manager. The letter just welcomes them and reminds them of our rules and regulations and the expectations we have of them while they're in town.
Rules including you can't bring tents or tables. Loud or live music needs to be limited. Alcohol is prohibited on public beach property. And keep in mind, police are reminding you will be arrested for giving alcohol to a minor, getting into a physical fight, or causing a public disturbance while intoxicated.
We have established 2 areas to make it convenient and easy to use ride shares. Out here on the beach to the north is Cortez Street. And downtown in our entertainment area is the 200 block of Southwest 4th Avenue.
Uber spokesperson Javi Corioso reminds people to plan ahead for rides since wait times will be longer, and to take a second to double check the car you're getting into.
Confirm the license plate number, the name and picture of the driver. These are all very important tips.
There will also be additional officers on patrol, lifeguards on the beaches, and community emergency response volunteers to make sure everyone has a safe and enjoyable time.
Over in Miami Beach, they also have some new rules for spring break. That started yesterday. So you cannot bring alcohol, coolers, tents, or tables to the public beaches in Miami Beach. Live or loud music will not be allowed, and there will be limited car traffic during the month of March.
Thank you. March is Women's History Month, and tonight we are saluting a woman who's making it her mission to ensure the technology disparity is erased.
It's a problem that became especially evident as schools switched to remote learning during the pandemic. CBS 4's Jacqueline Quinn reports.
And those who work with CBS 4 News.
Another Women's History Month fun fact, Miami is the only major U.S. city founded by a woman.
Julia Tuttle owned the land that modern Miami was built on.
Every year, 11 million tons of plastic ends up in the oceans, threatening wildlife and littering beaches. Now, the UN Environment Assembly is stepping up. It's being called the most significant environmental pact since the Paris Climate Accord. 175 UN member states agreed to create a treaty to end plastic pollution by 2024. A negotiating committee will hold a series of meetings over the next 2 years to settle on a legally binding agreement, one that will put limits on the life cycle of plastics, from how they are made to how they are thrown away or recycled.
We got to move beyond the plastic age.
An environment program says plastic production soared from 2 million tons in 1950 to nearly 350 million tons in 2017. That does it for the news at 5.
CBS 4 News at 5:30 starts now.
This is CBS 4 News at 5:30.
We continue to follow breaking developments from the Russian invasion of Ukraine.
Stocks tumbled around the world today. The S&P fell 0.8%. There were sharper losses in Europe.
Meantime, a local franchise is showing its support for Ukraine. Pollo Tropical pledging a $1 donation to the relief effort for every Pollo Tropical original family meal purchased at any of their 138 company-owned locations from today through March 18th. The brand is partnering with Chef Jose Andres charitable foundation, World Central Kitchen. There are several organizations that you can contact to help people in Ukraine. They include Catholic Relief Services, Project Hope, World Help, and the International Fellowship of Christians and Jews. You can get a full list at cbsmiami.com/helpukraine. The U.S. government says it will resume limited processing of immigrant visas in Havana, Cuba. It comes more than 4 years after stopping the service and removing most diplomats from Cuba over suspicions they had been targeted in mysterious attacks. The consulate will begin the process on visas that have documentation already complete, but they have not announced a specific date. And still ahead on CBS 4 News, we continue to follow a story that's on a lot of people's minds. What will happen to the Miami Seaquarium's Lolita? Will she be moved? More on the fate of the beloved killer whale. That's coming up at 6. Welcome back. A glass of wine with dinner can lower the risk of type 2 diabetes. Those findings are being presented at this week's American Heart Association conference. Doctors found people who had one drink during a meal had a 14% lower chance of developing diabetes. The benefits were greater for those drinking wine compared to other types of alcohol. Well, the news here is not all good, however.
New research shows even one drink a day, though, may have an impact on your brain. CBS 4's Bradley Blackburn has a closer look at the findings.
Many people.
Some conflicting information there, so I guess pick your poison. Drink coffee. Still, there you go. Still on CBS 4 News at 5:30. Looking for something to do this weekend? 2 words, fun and free. You're invited to a street party on Miracle Mile next. Well, tomorrow marks the start of 2 busy and fun weekends in South Florida. It's all part of Carnival Miami. Tomorrow and Sunday, Carnival on the Mile will take over Miracle Mile in Coral Gables. There will be music, food, art, and fun for the kids. And don't forget, tomorrow is March 5th, also known as 305 Day in Miami-Dade County. That all gets underway at 10 a.m. Best of all, it's free. Carnival on the Mile stretches along Miracle Mile from Lejeune Road, which is Southwest 42nd Avenue, to Douglas Road, Southwest 37th Avenue. And then next Sunday, March 13th, it's Calle Ocho, the ultimate block party in Little Havana.
All right, I think in some of that video I saw some fake snow, some kids playing around in. That's all the snow they're going to get, right? Best you could do.
I'm pretty sure that'd be fake.
Dave, thank you. Still ahead, what is it they say about too many cooks in the kitchen? Well, it can actually be a really good thing in this case. It's double the chefs, double the flavor at Hatto in Wynwood. Chic, modern, just plain cool. An all-new taste of the town is next. It is time for an all-new edition of Taste of the Town. The word unique best describes Hatto in Wynwood.
2 well-known chefs who opened the restaurant last November have created one-of-a-kind dishes that have foodies in awe, and that includes CBS 4's Lisa Petrillo, who takes us inside for a taste. All looks good, and if Lisa says it's good, it must be.
Oh, you know it is. Hungry for dinner time.
Yeah.
That's CBS 4 News at 5:30.
And here's what's next on CBS 4 News at 6.
This is CBS 4 News at 6.
Developing at 6, guilty plea. A former Hialeah police officer charged with several counts of sex assault, accepting responsibility for his actions as part of a plea deal. We first brought you this as breaking news on CBS 4 News at 5. We're live on air and always streaming on CBS News Miami with the CBS News app. Good evening. I'm Lauren Pastrana.
And I'm Carly Barnett. Elliott is off tonight. Jesus Monacal Jr. is now free on bond. CBS 4's Peter Dench joins us live from downtown Miami with the latest on this. Peter.
Well, CBS 4 News.
Peter, thank you for that report. Now at 6, Lolita's fate up in the air after the U.S. Department of Agriculture approved a deal with the new owners of the Miami Seaquarium. As part of that deal, Miami's most famous killer whale would cease all performances and no longer be put on display. But now the question remains, what will happen to Lolita? CBS 4's Jacqueline Quinn spent the day asking that question, and she is live from Virginia Key. Jacqueline.
Carly, the transition.
The Coast Guard has suspended its search for a small plane that disappeared last weekend with 2 people on board. They shared this picture of the wreckage recovered off of Key West today. The debris was pulled from the same area where investigators found a sheen yesterday. Alexandra Tufo and her boyfriend Thomas Campana were the only people on board. They have not been recovered.
New at 6, a cruising comeback in South Florida after losing billions of dollars during the pandemic. Business is picking up.
And with cruise lines relaxing COVID rules, people seem to be more open to voyages out of our ports. CBS 4's Joan Murray joins us live from Port Everglades with more. Joan. Looks like fun, Joan. Thank you. Well, spring break season is here. Chopper 4 already showing those crowds on the beach, and law enforcement is anticipating even bigger crowds than we saw the last 2 years. Major Bill Schultz with Fort Lauderdale Police says there will be tens of thousands of people in their city over the next 4 weeks, and they're doing what they can to keep people safe.
You will see a marked police presence, both uniformed and undercover or plainclothes.
Some other rules to be aware of if you are headed to the beach: you cannot bring tents or tables. Loud or live music needs to be limited. Alcohol is also prohibited on public beach property. And police also reminding you will be arrested for giving alcohol to a minor, getting into a physical fight, or causing a public disturbance while intoxicated. And as we welcome these spring breakers to South Florida, Dave, what is their first weekend going to look like?
A little gusty here.
The Miami Film Festival starts today. Opening night kicks off with the Spanish comedy drama The Good Boss, starring Javier Bardem. That's happening at the Silver Spot Cinema in downtown Miami. The festival runs through the 13th. There are screenings happening at theaters all around town, and for a full list of schedule and tickets, you can go to their website, miamifilmfestival.com.
Then next Sunday, March 13th, it's Calle Ocho, the ultimate block party in Little Havana. Lots going on.
Yeah, so people can't say that they have nothing to do.
Got to get out and enjoy
Calendars are packed. Still ahead at 6, the Miami Heat bounce back in a big way in a big game.
Plus, the Panthers find themselves in a fight. Does it for CBS 4 News at 6, but the news does not stop. We are streaming 24 hours a day.
The CBS Evening News with Nora O'Donnell is next.
We're back in a half hour with CBS 4 News at 7. We'll see you then.